Thank you, Larry. Good morning. I always enjoy introducing the speakers for our IONS near-death group. And all at once we have a speaker who has not had a near-death experience. I'm not sure I believe that, because Cindy Griffith-Bennett exudes so much of the nature of people who have had a near-death experience. On the other hand, we all have that nature. We all have that ability. We all are psychic. We all are telepathic. We all can do healing. We all can do these things. There's nothing necessarily magic about a near-death experience. It quickly opens the doors for many of us. But those doors can be opened also by prayer, by meditation. And so we have an example of Cindy, who is going to talk about this beautiful song, "We Are Never Alone, We Are Never Alone." It's so true. We're here in a community. We're here in a fellowship. Cindy, the wife of David Bennett, just moved down here a little over a year ago from Syracuse. By the way, it's snowing up there, I think. And we know why they moved down here. And they are now part of our fellowship, our community, and we're very pleased to have them. Cindy is an author, a psychic, a metaphysician, a teacher. She wrote her own book, Grow Your Own Business. She got her bachelor's in counseling and her master's in consciousness studies. That's very good. I like that. I sometimes wish I could take that master's. I took a nice one up at AU. It's pretty much the same subject. And so Cindy Griffith now teaches and channels and gives psychic readings. And if you want to find out more about her, go to cindygriffith.com. And she's going to tell us about why we're never alone. Cindy Griffith.
Okay, well, what I should have said to Neil is I don't remember having a near-death experience, but from what you're going to see today, there probably might be a likelihood that that might have happened at some point in my life. Originally, I was going to speak about how living with death throughout your life creates an urgency to live life to its fullest. And so I started writing down all the times in my life that I've either encountered death, almost died, or has dealt with somebody else who almost died. And what I kept finding was, because the list was long, it started with febrile seizures as a child, being found wandering around a neighborhood, half naked and returned by a neighbor, almost drowning, being in 2 different car crashes, a suicide attempt, an alcohol tailspin, and botulism, you name it. I've been there. And so I started reading these things and writing them down, and I'm like, oh my God, I survived all that. And I realized that each time I was sent either someone or something to get me through. And so I said, oh, the heck with the talk. You all know to live your life to the fullest. I want you to come out of today knowing that no matter what you've done, who you've been, anything, you are loved, you are protected. Even when poop hits the fan, there is awareness in that and joy in those moments. And so I'm just going to pick a few things, because one of the things I've found when I come here, I enjoy the lectures that are short, to the point, and have something to do with the lecturer's life. So I hope to give you that today. So just to kind of give you an idea, of a number of years ago, I tried to bond with my mom, and you'll see some things here that might understand why I tried to bond with my mom. And I said, I'm so glad I'm an adult, because I know that you didn't relate to children very well, and now we can have a relationship, because we do. We have a fabulous relationship. And she goes, I didn't have trouble bonding, Cindy. You were just a really strange child. So I give you with that preference. Around 3 years old, I had febrile seizures when I was little, and so, yes, I could have had a near-death during one of those. And then around 3 years old, my parents were having a party, and I guess they were not the most attentive parents. I love them dearly, but they weren't very attentive. And so I was found by a neighbor, like, not even a neighbor, I would say, someone that knew us, 2 streets down the road, swinging around the street sign half naked or naked. You never know. The Griffith stories, they grow, but I was found and returned by the neighbor. Now, who knows what could have happened? Now, granted, this was 1964 and things weren't quite what they are today, but you never know what happened. And so God must have sent that neighbor because I don't know where I was going. Around 5 years old, I went to the Presbyterian church, and I have to say, I hope no one else is Presbyterian here, it is like the most boring faith that there is. They pull Mary out of the closet at Christmas time, and then they put her back in the closet for the rest of the year. It's not the most inspiring. We learned to clap about 10 years ago, Anyway, so I'm at church at 5 years old, and I say, in my 5-year-old wisdom, if Jesus was Jewish, why don't Jewish people believe in Jesus? And I was basically told to go stand in the corner. And I thought, well, that's it with this religious stuff. If people don't stand up for their own, what good is it? So from 5 years old on, I was an atheist. And when I tell you, I was the card-carrying atheist. I said terrible things. So that's the background that I want you to remember. It doesn't matter who you are, what you believe or don't believe. You are loved and you are taken care of. And there is no judgment. If you have been to the other side and come back, you know that for sure. There is no judgment. You could not say anything terrible, because I did. You could not say something so terrible that would make spirit turn their back on you. So at around 7 years old, I was at the pool, and I decided it was a great idea to jump off the diving board at 7 years old, not knowing how to swim. And I can see this very clearly. I was almost to the top, realizing already this was a really dumb idea because I went really deep when I jumped off the diving board. And I thought I was at the top, and I took a breath. Now, I don't remember anything after that, but when I asked my parents, I don't know, maybe 15 years later, my mother had no recollection of this event. My sisters had no recollection of this event. How did I survive that? Who came and got me? If it was a lifeguard, don't you think that they would have gone over and told my mother, hey, you're being a little irresponsible, watch your kid, So again, here I am at 7 years old, my card-carrying atheist. I'm sure I hadn't started saying mean and nasty things by that point, though. And I was saved. It kept going. In my early teens, I was in a car crash. Someone who will go unnamed sat on my father's hat. And it got him very upset. He was very partial to his hat. And he crashed into an abutment, a bridge abutment. My sister went flying over me, and in my probably around 11-year wisdom, I decided that seatbelts were bad because I would not have been pinned under there if I had not been wearing my seatbelt. Now, granted, this is 11-year-old logic. It didn't work very well, but it's important for later on. I had decided seatbelts were a bad thing. But we all survived that car crash, which was quite a bad car crash. At around 18, I decided I was very much into drinking and drugs and all those things that were not supposed to be. And I decided life really wasn't for me. My roommate found me in time and rushed me to the hospital. By 25, I still had kind of a drug and alcohol tailspin, I would call it. I had flunked out of school. So you can see, there is nothing on my angel checklist on this side. There's nothing on the Cindy is really trying to be a good person yet. And here I am, constantly saved. So I'm on this drug and alcohol tailspin, and a woman who knew me through, I worked at my dad's office, and her daughter and son-in-law lived above me, and knew that I was living quite the party life, came to me and said, Cindy, I don't know where your parents are in all of this, but you need help. And she gave me the name of a therapist. So that time, God sent me an angel in the form of Jeannie Powers, who cared enough or was nudged enough, because you know we have been God's angels for other people. How often have we said, I can't believe I'm saying this to this person, but I've got to say it, right? How often have we been guided with words to be God's angels? So that got me on a little bit better track. At 27, I'm driving down the highway. I was a real estate appraiser at the time. Now, I have to say it was not all staying up all night because of a drunken night. I was still drinking, but I had not had a drunken night. I was actually up all night helping a friend write her paper. And I was really tired, so I'm driving down, as crazy 27-year-olds doing, about 86 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour, driving down the highway. I was a real estate appraiser. I was going to my appointment. I was really tired. And all of a sudden, somebody passes me on the right. Now, I was doing 85 miles an hour, give or take, maybe a little more. And somebody passes me on the right and goes like this: put your seatbelt on. Remember the seatbelt aversion. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was awfully odd that somebody drove by 27, because they had been doing 90 to get by me. And also, how did they even know I didn't have my seatbelt on if they're driving 90 miles an hour, right? And they're on the right. And I'm a busty lady. So you couldn't even see the seatbelt from that side, right? If you think about it. I put the seatbelt on. I get off the highway. It's raining. Have you ever watched windshield wipers? If you're already tired, you're watching the windshield wiper. I'm going around 30 miles an hour around a curve, fall asleep, and go head on into a 50-year-old librarian, who at that time I thought was ancient, right? 50-year-old librarian, head-on collision. If I hadn't been wearing my seatbelt, I would have gone through the windshield, and that would have been the end of me. My card-carrying atheist thought, tuck that in the back of the mind, I think God sent me an angel. I think God manifested an angel in that car to drive by. So that kind of started the awakenings of, maybe there's something to this higher power stuff. And I went to a head shop. They call them boutiques now, but I went to a head shop and I picked up a deck of tarot cards. And I thought, this is fun. Let me play with this. I was bored, broken up with the same boyfriend, dysfunctional boyfriend about 20 times. This is like time 21. I thought, I'm bored. So I started playing with the tarot cards. And I'd give people readings, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so accurate, that's so good. And I realized, don't tell anybody, but I'm not that smart. Where's this coming from? Oh no. I'm going to get hit by lightning for all the terrible things. So for about a year, I walked around covering my head, being afraid that God was going to hit me by lightning, because I was raised with an angry God. I was raised with a vengeful God. I didn't know this new agey stuff. I didn't know there was a loving God. I didn't know that I was a Gnostic underneath all of this stuff. I had just got an ag put in front of me somehow. So I started my exploration. Through that, I learned to channel. And it was through channeling that my life really, really changed. You cannot channel someone else's guides, angels, whatever you want to call them, without being able to feel and experience the love. Feeling and experiencing the love. Now, you will all have felt it. Maybe not through channeling someone's guide, but you've all been in nature and all of a sudden recognize the love that must be available for us, for the world to have such a beautiful moving tree or a beautiful sunset. You've all felt that love. But when I tell you that through this channeling process, I get to experience the love that that guide is feeling towards you, you are so loved. You can't even imagine how loved you are. I also had the fabulous opportunity after meeting my husband. He took me, or he tried to take me, into the light with him through a vibration, I guess you'd call it. And I started to see his soul group. And it was all pixelated. That's how I see spirits, kind of pixelated. And I felt washed with love. And I went into the automatic, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, and there went it all. But so in multiple times in my life, I have been able to experience the love that the great pumpkin, whatever you want to call that higher being, right? That is available for you. How loved you are. So with starting to channel, though, remember my drug and alcohol thing? I had since quit drinking through the help of my genie power angel. I still smoking pot. So when you have an addictive personality, which actually started with I think when I was 2 years old, because back then when you had febrile seizures, they gave you phenobarbital, and so I was, I experienced that, and I think that kind of helped the drug issue. But anyway, blame it on somebody else, right? So I had quit smoking cigarettes. I had quit drinking. Now I had this pot thing, right? So I go to my doctor and I'm like, I really need help. And he's like, it's only pot. If you had a cocaine problem, then, well, this was the 80s, this was the 90s. If you have a cocaine problem, we can talk, but it's only pot. So I thought, okay, I'm on my own with this. Now remember, I discovered my spirituality by then, but it was a baby spirituality. It was maybe a few years old. I'm in the shower, best place to get your divine guidance, right? Everybody in the shower. And I hear, go meditate. And I'm like, okay, I really stink at meditation, but I'll go. So I had an altar made up, and I go and meditate. And I hear, like Noah build me an ark here, right? I hear, you are strong enough. The time is now. And of course I go, I'm not strong enough. Literally, not figuratively, literally, my chin was lifted up. And I heard once again, and I knew who it was through my channeling classes, it was Archangel Jophiel, lifted my chin and said, you are strong enough. The time is now. Right? One more time. Because I'm a little thick. You are strong enough. The time is now. And I quit smoking pot that day. So far, I've been sent, I don't know who rescued me from drowning. I had been sent genie powers, right? An earth angel. I had been sent an angel driving a car going 90 miles an hour. And now one had to literally manifest its hand. I didn't see the hand, but I felt it. I couldn't put down my chin. Manifested Archangel Jophiel to tell me, you're ready. Let's fast forward to about 39 years old. My husband Dave, who's fine, I have to tell you, I always have to preface the story with he's fine. In 2000, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung and bone cancer. Now, I didn't know that you could survive cancer. I found out you can survive cancer, but I also found out that you really don't survive stage 4 lung and bone cancer. But I was still in the you can't survive cancer period. And because I was being so probably neurotic, Dave thought it was good while he was in the hospital that I go and continue working. I had a job in Connecticut, so I'm driving from Syracuse down to, you've been in Syracuse, right? So driving down the highway on Route 17 down to Connecticut. Now, mind you, my faith is still a baby faith. So not only am I looking at the prospect of losing finally the man, right? I'm 36 39 years old. I've never been married. I finally met the man. We just moved in together. But also, I'm looking at the death of my faith. Because how could this happen? How could you take... So I am yelling, screaming. And it was before you had headsets, so anybody driving by would have thought I was insane. Screaming at God, how could you do this? How could you take him away? What is wrong? And finally I yell out, are you even there? This is the crisis of my faith. Are you even there? Driving by, not one, but a tandem, which means two. Guaranteed overnight delivery. Do you know what that spells? A double God truck. No lie. Drives by me. I still get shivers every time I tell this story. Drives by me immediately upon me screaming, are you even there? I said, okay. Okay. Right? Got my center back. I was still driving, otherwise I think I would have probably fainted. And I realized that everything was going to be okay. Now, it did not mean that Dave was going to survive. That's not what that told me, because everything is going to be okay doesn't mean everything that you want is going to work out the way you want it. But what it meant to me was everything was divine. Everything was just as it's planned. Everything would be okay. I am not alone in this. I have never been alone with this through this crazy life. I've never been alone. And I'll get through this no matter what happens. So this gave me a sense of peace that I had not had in my life in 39 years. I'm not alone. I'm loved. Everything's going to be okay, even if it doesn't work out the way I want it to. Fast forward another couple years, and let me just finish this by explaining how I use this now. How I use this now. My mom's in a coma. Now granted, Mom and I had a rough start in life, but I love my mom, and we have really healed a lot of our stuff. She's in a coma, and my sister and I are laying in twin beds because we're back home, and we're talking, and my sister is also, I would say, religious and spiritual person. And I said, well, I'm just going to pray. And we talked about our prayer. And I said, I'm just going to pray that God knows what to do. I'm not going to pray that Mommy gets better, because we don't know what better looks like. And I don't have that big picture. I'm just going to pray, God, take care of this in a way that's for all of our highest and most loving good. She survived. And it's not that she survived that gives me my faith. It's all of the things that I've experienced in life that give me my faith. And so when I woke up the other night, hysterical, in fear for the elections, I said, wait a minute. God's giving me the solution for this. I'm going to pray. I'm not going to pray for the person I want to win the election, because I don't know. I know smart people that disagree with me. So I don't know what's best. I'm not going to pretend to know what's, well, I'm going to think I know what's best, of course. We all think we know what's best, but I'm not going to pretend in front of God that I know what's best. And so I started my prayer. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, I put it on Facebook, that prayers for the highest and most loving good win both president and Congress and all those lower ones. And that although I think I know what's best, that I don't get in the way of it. And then I also prayed that we come into community and togetherness and peace afterwards. So just a funny note on how It doesn't have to be something big and heavy when God is watching out for you. At about 50 years old, Dave and I were on a chocolate binge. I know you've all done it. Lint, what do you call those? The truffles? Lint truffles. We're in Sedona, and we're like a bag a day. It was out of control. I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden I hear that all familiar Joe Fio saying in the most loving way, "Enough with the chocolate." So we brought the leftover chocolates to Craig Gingulis because we know he loves chocolates, a friend of ours in. So it doesn't even have to be the serious stuff. God's watching out for us, even with the little things. So after literally being saved from death multiple times, I realized it doesn't matter if I was a good person or not. It didn't matter if I believed in a higher power. I was loved in a way by Spirit that said, I'm valuable for being me. You're valuable for being just who you are. No matter what your actions, no matter what your opinions. And what we often perceive as wrong in life, our bad karma, bad luck, bad whatever, these are gifts of awareness of how loved we are and what opportunities we offer ourselves and others to give and receive love. We get to see that we are never judged by the divine. We get to see how wonderfully the world responds to us when we are in our deepest needs. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to help. So I hope you can see that you are never alone, no matter how alone you may feel at the time. I hope that you can see that even in your worst moments, your most lonely moments, your darkest nights of the soul, you are surrounded by love, by protection, and by divine support. And I hope that I've shown you that today God will intervene. God may send a stranger, a friend, and sometimes God may even show up as an 18-wheeler. Thank you for the opportunity to share.